Hi, I'm Bill Patton with 720 Degree Coaching, and it's my distinct pleasure to have Michelle Krause, who is an expert in many things in the tennis world, and she's really fun to be around. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. We're going to start with mindset first, because that's going to frame a lot about what we talk about. But basically, the topic today is, what if you were commissioner of tennis for the day? What kind of things would you institute right now? Because strike while the iron's hot. We've got some opportunities to make some changes. So hello, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, Bill. I'm great. So nice to see you. Thanks for having me. We've got exciting times. It's always nice to connect with our friends around the world. So again, thanks for having me. Shall we start with this tennis commissioner business?
Yeah. So you wrote an article about this?
I did. It was it appeared in Tennis Industry, which is now called Racket Sports, back in the fall, right around the time of the US Open. And the title was, If I Were the Tennis Commissioner. And I know that, in our industry, there's always been talk of maybe that there should be a tennis commissioner for the sport of tennis. That could be a whole conversation.
Right.
And people that know me, I do think a little bit not traditionally sometimes. Although there's a big part of me that is very traditional tennis, and then I'm a 50-50 here. So I think now with our current world status, we have a great opportunity in our industry to come back really strong and come back differently, right? More accessible to consumers in a way that we can get more people involved in our great sport. Mm-hmm. So one of my points for being the tennis commissioner.
Okay, hold on. Before we go in the weeds, before we dig down, let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
And let's talk about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, because I think what's going to happen is, if we have this discussion about growth mindset and fixed mindset, people are going to be able to better identify leadership that comes from one or the other. And I have to admit, there are some things about tennis that I am 100% fixed, and that won't be changing.
Sure, okay. Which I think we all have a little bit of that, right?
Right. And I will admit that. I will say, no, I have absolutely this conviction that tennis needs to always stay this way in that regard. Okay. But in many other regards, I'm always open to listening to whatever somebody has to say, no matter who they are. They don't have to have qualifications to have a good idea. So sure. Let's go a little bit deeper into, what does it mean to have a growth mindset?
So I don't know that I've ever been asked to kind of define or mean that, but I think you kind of just said it, where it's like there are some things in your world, and specifically tennis, where you're going to be fixed, but you also have this part of your mindset where you are very open to ideas and concepts and what are the greater possibilities. And that, I think the other part of growth mindset is that change is okay, change is good, change is possible, change can be beneficial. And as we know, especially today, our world changes pretty much every minute. So we have to be able to be flexible and pivot. And if something is not working, why are we sticking with doing the same thing over and over again? And tennis has a bit of that.
We can't get better unless we change.
Correct. So, my favorite saying is, nothing changes if nothing changes. So, but again, there has to be part of the brain that does have that growth mindset, that openness.
Okay, so now everybody who's listening, I hope you have your growth mindset earmuffs on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we used to be told as children on the television to get our learning cap on. Get your learning caps on.
That's right.
You know?
Well,
And
I want to give a shout out to our tennis community because I mean, I'm already seeing some positive things, meaning, and again, sometimes change occurs because it's more or less forced, right? And we're kind of we've been in a situation where things are a little more forced. So since everybody's been at stay at home, I know so many of our friends and colleagues that are doing so much online education, right? So that's a wonderful thing because I think, historically, maybe we've struggled there a bit as an industry with doing continuing education. So I know some coaches who they've watched every single video on tennis resources. Coaches who there's the tennis summit going on right now. It's a 3 or 4 day thing, and coaches are engaging with that. So there is change there, right? And there's learning. The other thing is, let's just take a look at technology. And we know that there are still many facilities throughout the United States that use paper to do court reservations, for example. Right, Bill? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, and we've been trying to get people to use technology in this industry. Well,
Yeah.
now we're in a state of actually maybe being forced to go that route, right? Because maybe there can't be as much welcome center desk staff, distance and communication. People want to do things online, right? So that they're able to social. So that change is maybe forcing clubs or pros to reevaluate how they're doing business. And now maybe they're going to use some of the many online platforms that we have out there. So
Awesome.
yay.
Yes.
So yay for the tennis industry, right?
Calamity is the mother of invention.
There we go. Yes, calamity.
Different word, but I like
I
calamity.
I like calamity. I never use that, and now I can use that.
Let's do this. In this interview, let's try to use some really interesting words or whatnot.
Okay, that's a challenge.
So just toss in a couple of whatchamacallits.
Okay, we got vocabulary going on here.
Yes. Let's see if we can't bamboozle the audience.
Oh, goodness. I have this feeling if this were a competition between me and you, that you would be winning. Okay, but we'll see how this goes.
We don't have to keep score.
No, we don't have to keep score. I'm just saying, if it were a competition, maybe our audience can keep. Maybe our audience can keep score for us. If it's a competition,
then I'm in it to win it. I am just trying to destroy the competition. Yes. Whenever I get invited to speak, usually what I say to the person holding the thing on it is, holding the event is, I've come to kill everyone. I am here to be the very best talk at this thing.
There you go.
And they usually kind of look at me like this, and I'm like, that's just how I operate. I mean, I don't wish ill for the other speakers.
No.
I just want to destroy them. So anyway.
Kill or slay. You're going to come and slay everybody.
There's a good word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, so let's dig into it. Let's go with our thinking cap on and look at a possible change that we could make in the overall structure of tennis. Should we start with what Roger Federer said about uniting?
Why don't we chat about that a little bit?
It's so timely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and Bill, you can add in here. It appears that there is some chat that maybe the two professional tours, the men and women's tour, should combine and become one. And it does appear that maybe Roger was one of the first to speak out about that. And I saw that yesterday, and I thought, wow, that's a really good idea. And one of his points was, do we want to come back weaker as two or stronger as one? So I think it's a pretty good concept. What do you think, Bill?
Well, let's look at what are the most popular and most influential tournaments in the world. You've got the four slams where the
Right.
men and women are together, but the tours are separate, but the events are the same essentially.
Right.
And you've got Indian Wells and Miami,
Yep.
right? And Indian Wells is known though as the fifth most important tournament in the world, and the players love it beyond belief. And a lot of it has to do with the social life. I mean,
Absolutely.
Indian Wells is a party, and who wouldn't want to be in the desert in March? So
Exactly.
it's just like a paradise. Um, Facebook Live went off for a second. So anyway, it's back on now.
Okay.
But I think, one of the great things about Indian Wells is like watching all the guys playing soccer on the big field.
Right. Yeah.
Just having a really fun time between matches, and you see players socializing and hanging out here and there. And there must be secret places that they hang out, because I don't really see them around town. But
I don't think you and I are privy to that. So we're not celebrity. We're not celebrity enough for that sort of thing.
Right. There
And
must be this VIP disco that we don't get to.
That's right. And we can't forget our friends in Ohio either, because in Ohio, right, in Cincinnati, the men and women play together, correct?
I guess. I haven't been watching a lot of tennis in the last few years. But, so it's a tremendous idea. What are the problems? Because, see, you can have an open mindset and you can be a big believer. Something sounds like a good idea, but I'm a big believer in also looking at possible negative outcomes. So, I mean, I think my first thought is it would have to be slowly phased in, because schedules would have to be rearranged dramatically. Or maybe you just start with melding the leadership together. And Anne of the WTA Tour, is it Worcester? How do you say her last name?
Yes, that is correct pronunciation for Anne. Okay. But she is a past president. And the current president is, and of course, his name is escaping me, but it is the gentleman who formerly ran the Indian Wells tournament. So if anybody, and I just can't, his name's just not jumping into my head right now. I think to your point, it would probably need to start with leadership. Probably schedule-wise, and that would be a question. Does that mean that all tournaments are played together, or is there still some separation? Or is it a combination of the two? I mean, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of questions. Benefit-wise, maybe resources are being utilized. Finances would be a big thing. Sponsorship. I think that's where, that sort of thing would have to be sorted when the world opens back up again. What happens to the world of sponsorship? Are businesses going to be less likely to do that?
Yeah, I also want to add a little something here too. So one of the greatest things that happened for women's tennis was when Martina and Chris, because of their great friendship, came to the realization that they were beating their brains in against each other too much.
Okay.
So they actively scheduled themselves apart from one another. So that between the two of them, they became this two-headed monster that would appear in more places. So they actually coordinated their schedule. So they'd be like, all right, when you're in Basel, I'm going to be in Buenos Aires.
I didn't know
that. You're here, I'm going to be there, so that we can spread ourselves out. And then we're also not beating each other's brains in. Let's save that for the Grand Slams and for the tier 1 events. So that was something they did collaboratively that was really great for the women's tour, because then more people got to see either of them. Right.
Yeah. I didn't know that. So thanks for educating me there. Then is there a difference in prize winnings? I mean, if they're together more, would there be more mixed doubles? That,
Ooh.
mixed doubles. Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, where are they playing? Do you remember when they used to play mixed doubles at tournaments? And is there any tournament in the world right
Grand
now?
Slams only,
The Grand
right?
Slams still, right? Yeah. It's still the Grand Slams, yeah. But nowhere else do they play mixed doubles. And
Right. And one of the coolest things are these thrown together teams that win a slam, and then
right.
because they accidentally won a slam together, then they stick together for maybe the rest of the year. But
right.
that's one of the coolest things in sports is that. And I know that from coaching high school and lots of junior programs, whenever I've had a chance to have my kids play mixed doubles against each other, they love that.
Right.
And one of my goals every summer is that we will develop a couple. There will be some matchmaking. Coach Bill is here to give you the hookup, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, it's that brings a different social dynamic to it as well. So, and that's part of the magic of World Team Tennis.
Right. I mean, think about the impact of that. And again, this is, I believe this is a weakness in our industry, that we do not message. We could do a better job of messaging mixed doubles. I mean, what other sport do men and women play together professionally? Is there one? I think there might be one, but I don't know what it is. Like, Bill, can you think of anything? I mean, golf, men and women can play together, but are they playing at any professional level?
You have me stupefied. So that's
okay. Stupefied.
Word, right?
Is stumpified a word? Because I'm just going to say stumpified. So, but and maybe I don't know. Maybe one of our somebody on Facebook or Instagram knows. But I cannot think off the top of my head.
I don't think so. I think that's, it's a very interesting thing. Although, we're seeing in football, there are now women college football players, largely kickers, specialty players. So that's happening in high school football. But yeah, on a professional level, I don't know. But now, okay, so I think in general, I think we can agree that would be really a fantastic thing. The practicality of solving the problem or where to start. I don't think we can solve that in this interview.
I don't think
so. We're going to leave that for okay. So, but it's
nor are you and I the people to do that solving, Bill. So
I don't know.
well, maybe.
Wait,
I am the tennis commissioner. Okay.
Yeah, you forgot your position for a second.
Forgot my role.
All right.
Okay.
So now, what's another issue where we can really realistically make an impact? Because that could start in a very small incremental way. But let's go into something that's like a big thing that we could go boom, and that's big and makes a dramatic influence.
Well, I always really it's one of, as you said earlier, Bill, you have some core beliefs for yourself that won't change, right? And I would say that I have some of those as well.
Okay, and let's start there, then we know where to draw the line.
Okay, well, my big probably for me, one of my big things I'm the tennis commissioner. Again, you have to take this with a grain of salt and be open-minded. And I'm just going to pick this number, and it doesn't have to be this number, but I stated that more or less, if you're 3.9 or below, everybody should be playing with the green ball. Oh, I know. Process that for a little bit. Just kind of chew on that a little bit.
So here's the thing. All right. And here's why I believe, I don't necessarily
it's very controversial.
I don't disagree with the concept, but I do disagree with the parameter. And here's why.
Right. Okay.
So here's why. Because the number one in my research, the number one thing that holds people back from going from 4.0 to 4.5 and above are visual skills. So you need you need the challenge of the yellow ball in order to learn the skills of tracking the yellow ball. So if we played green ball all the way up to 4.0, then that would not facilitate going above that level, because the change from green to yellow would be too great. Okay. So I would say up to 3.0, 2.9 at below play with green ball, because what that will do, that will create a less stressful environment. It will create a better skill acquisition.
Yes.
And then, you know, then you go to 3.0 and above, and now you're playing big kid tennis, you know. So one of the things that I think would be really interesting is if we had the NTRP, but we also went back to the class system and we said, all right, 7.0 is world class. Okay. 6.0 is A plus. Okay. 5.5 is A. 5.0 is A minus.
Okay.
4.5 is B. 4.0 is C. 3.5 is D.
So.
And then I'm not going to go any lower. So,
okay.
But what would happen is more people would want to get a better grade and want to matriculate up rather than sandbag and try to win a national championship at 3.0.
Right.
Yay, the champions of the D minus national champion D minus player.
Okay.
So, see, because I kind of despise that. I think that that's a really thing that we have national championship of intermediate play.
Okay. I like that perspective.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I think that all that stuff, maybe there should be a national championship 4.5 and above, and then everything else should end in the section. But, you know, there's a lot of money to be made in the tour industry and all that by somebody who that's their baby.
Yeah.
But, you know, part of this, it's created this sort of obsession. But anyway, I've gone off on a really cool tangent. Let's go back to the.
We have, but it's good. I like it. I like the tangent.
But I really like the idea of using green ball up to a certain point, because it will be a confidence booster, and it's not that big of a difference, except 4 out of 4 or 5, it would be a humongous difference.
So
humongous.
I like that perspective. And it makes sense to me. So thank you for sharing that with me. And again, that's why I said the parameters there's flexibility. Yeah. There's flexibility.
You need to throw more words in there, though. Come on.
I know I'm not doing well with the words. I don't know, vocabulary, just Bill and stay at home, just remembering where I put the last thing. Was it in the kitchen or the car? I'm not even sure what's going on there.
The other room. Why did I come in here?
Why did I go in that room? So kind of my philosophy on the green ball, and everything that you said makes sense, is that people do struggle no matter how great our coaching is. Tennis is not an easy sport for most people, right? And the way I look at the green ball compared to yellow ball is anybody can dominate the green ball, where most people are dominated by a yellow ball. And to your point, skill acquisition does happen much more quickly and more organically with that green ball. Shout out to the orange as well.
Orange.
Hey, Orange. I train with all the balls. But I train a lot with the green ball. And I am a highly skilled player. And one of the big reasons now, when you have 2 highly skilled players training with the green ball, you do hit the bejesus out of it. And then probably after that session, those balls are pretty toast. But what it does is it creates much more physicality because the ball stays in play longer. There are no misses. And for those that, I'm all about the workout. I'm all about the fitness, right? So I want to hit, 5,000 balls in one hour. So I think you understand the benefits of the green ball. There's just so many. So here, let's just summarize this. Okay. I think that going forward, okay, when we are open for business again, my suggestion, my recommendation for our tennis teaching friends and colleagues is really embrace the other balls, especially the green balls, more in your coaching. That's the summary. That's the summary, because you know what? Because here's the other thing. People are going to come back from this stay at home where some people have not hit a tennis ball in 6 weeks. When they get out on that court, they're done. They're toast. I mean, they've lost timing. They've lost hand-eye coordination. They've lost fitness. You better start them with an orange or a green ball. Okay. Otherwise, it's not going to be a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because one of the first things that happens if you've had a long layoff is tennis elbow. So I want to add one thing and then we'll move on. But one thing I do, I get a lot of people who come for their very first beginner lesson with me. Because I'm pretty well noted for getting people off to a really good fast start. So at the end of the lesson, I generally offer adults, hey, do you want to take these orange balls with you? Because I can tell that you and your husband really want to rally right now because you're super excited. Take these, or take these green balls and go rally with those. And then these are your training wheels. And you'll kick these off soon, but these are going to boost you up a little bit. All right. Now, I want to get into best practices of teaching red, orange, and green with kids.
Okay. So we can discuss that. Kids is not my area of expertise.
Okay. Past that. Okay. Got it. So we're going to forget that. If anybody got excited about that,
sorry.
Talk. It's all right. Okay. So tell us another one of your bold initiatives that can happen.
Well, you kind of already addressed it. You actually segued into it very nicely. And it still but it still comes back to the balls. And I'm the tennis commissioner. All adult beginners, all adult starters, rookies. As a coach, now, Bill, I know you are, wonderful and fantastic, and maybe you are capable of doing this with yellow ball, but I travel the country, I travel the world, I see coaches out there. That first experience, that first 10 minutes that a new adult has in our sport has got to be magical. Okay, magical. And I see the first 10 minutes and it's not magical. Okay. And it would be, if I had a really big vocabulary right now, I'd have good words. Okay. But it would be, it's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's low energy. There's no contact with the ball. So all adult, because you and I both know that anybody starting out within 10 minutes can rally with that red ball, correct?
And if you're coaching really well, you can get them rallying with a yellow ball. Right. But you have to know what you're doing. So
yes.
So anyway, that is a terrific point. And so here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go. I'm going to turn off my live presentations.
Okay.
So if you're watching this and you want the rest of it, and I promise it's going to be really, really good. That you can catch the YouTube link that will be posted later today. So anyway, thanks for watching there on YouTube and on Instagram. Say bye, Michelle.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Somebody named, I think Adam Ford said Michelle is the best business.
Oh, Adam, shout out to Adam if you're hearing this. Adam is
He's not. He's not. He said it right before I went on.
Okay.
Okay.
Adam. So Bill, Adam's in Michigan with Jorge Capistani.
Oh, terrific.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good place to be.
Yep.
All right. So, okay. So using the balls as part of the first lesson, because I'm also a believer that people need to rally in the first lesson.
And I'm going to go further and say first 10 minutes. If
Okay.
you're not rallying some ball, okay, and again,
Yeah.
red's going to be the easiest, okay? In my book, that's a failure. It's a failure as a coach. And as a coach, it's not the fault of the student, okay? Everything that happens on that court is up to the coach to make it happen, to empower, right? To not say there's no, I can't, or, oh, they can't do that. They're not coordinated enough. No, you need to find the way to get them to be coordinated, right?
Okay. It's time for some heresy. So this is another word for you. Heresy.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's some heretical teaching. Okay. I don't teach the ready position first. I don't teach preparation first.
I don't really either.
The swing first. I don't even teach the contact point necessarily first, except accidentally.
Yep. I would say I'm probably pretty close to your range as to what you're stating. Sometimes when I'm presenting and speaking, I'll ask a group of coaches, what does that first 10 minutes of a adult starter session look like, whether it's private or group, and, take warm out of the process or whatever. And what do you think most of the typical responses are?
I'm not good at guessing.
Okay, so I'll tell you. That's fine. Many of the responses are ready position, okay, which again, That's not a terrible thing. Grip. I will tell you that the majority of the answers are right about the grip, right into the grip. Nobody cares about the grip, okay?
Right.
They're just, if you let them rally the ball, they will organically pretty much fix a lot of things themselves without us having to tell them and verbalize it.
Yes. So the first few minutes of my lesson go like this. We get on the court, we say hi, we have our little pleasantries, and all that. And then we go and we touch the net, and we take 2 steps behind the net, and we toss a ball underhand.
Yep.
And
you
that's
gotta have tossing and catching skills.
That's already a rally, right?
Yep.
Because one of the things that around the world most coaches are good at is teaching receiving skills, and it's sadly lacking in American coaching. So then what we do is we back up one more step, and we hold the racket all the way up at the top of the grip as I grasp my flashlight.
Yep.
And then we have this little very tiny, because then we go, look, the word racket means palm. Rack in Egyptian means palm. So here's my little hand, and now I have a bigger hand.
Yes.
And we will catch and toss with it. And that's Oscar Wagner. I mean, that's an Oscar Wagner, original, and I love that. And
I do too.
And so then we have a 10-shot rally, and then I ask them, what are we doing right now? And they go, I don't know. I'm like, we're playing tennis.
Correct. Yep.
Oh.
Exactly. So Bill, any time that I am on a court with somebody or a group, there is a sending, receiving, catching, tossing skill in the warm-up, even if it's just for 30 seconds. Because again, as soon as you put the racket in the hand and you're increasing the lever, you're making things more difficult. It's just, you have to train the brain, right? And stimulate the brain to understand that, we are receiving and we're sending, and that's catching and tossing. So awesome. Yay.
And then once we get to the tee and we're rallying from the tee, then what we get into is then we'll have some instruction.
Okay. Yep. Sure.
Then after that, we go, okay, are you ready for a little technical instruction? Because we made it this far without any.
Sure. Or, and it's probably even more organic than that in some ways. I mean, I think my teaching is very organic, they might need it at one moment. So it might need to be a little bit later. Right. I think you're intuitive enough that you know when you need to intersperse that information.
Yeah. All right. So what more can we say about best practices in teaching?
I will just always like to reiterate that, again, if we're going to retain people, if we're going to bring people up and elevate them, there has to be energy on the court. As a coach, we are entertainers out there. And again, unfortunately, on too many tennis courts across the world, I see coaches with tremendous, tremendous low energy. And Bill, you've seen it, right? And it just makes me sad. And then it also makes me think, wow, that customer, they're paying all that money for that. Wow, they're getting ripped off. So we have to bring the energy. It doesn't matter if it's the first session of your day or the last session, because that person doesn't care, right? They're just, they don't care that you taught 8 hours or 2 hours or what. They're expecting you to bring the energy. And, maybe in some cases people don't have expectations, but I see, and I know in some cases people are paying $100, $150 an hour for coaching. And I just look at what's happening and I'm like,
yeah.
Wow, you're being snowed, basically. So energy, right? Do you agree? Energy is absolutely
well, and it extends to other things too, like the professionalism and the communication and whatnot. So, right. One thing that's really interesting to me is I have some clients who drive from San Francisco, mm-hmm. and they were taking lessons at a reputable club. Mm-hmm. And they just got fed up, A, with what you're talking about, kind of the low energy lessons. Right. And then B, the lack of follow-up on important things like, oh, we have to cancel today. They were getting no notice of disruptions to the schedule.
Yeah, that's not good.
People, no shows. No communication, no callback if they have to cancel because of something came up for them as a family. Right. So then now they drive across a bridge and pay toll and come to my lesson and so it's an honor, but I feel sad for those pros that don't realize what they're missing out on. Right. And are they really pros? I don't know. There's something. I don't know. They're to me they're not professionals at what they do if they're doing that.
Well, and and again, I'll kind of go back to we're a little bit in the entertainment industry. The other thing I'd like to see from coaching generically across the board is less ball feeding and more live ball action. Mm-hmm. I just again a coach standing by a cart or a basket or some nature and just like wow, like those things are needed, absolutely, and there's time for that, and there are circumstances for that, but there's got to be more live ball action within an hour session.
Absolutely, because you know what, Christine comes every other Friday at 10 a.m. so she can get her beating from Coach Bill.
There you go, right?
And then like, you're mean, and I'm like, well, I offered to play left-handed, and you said no. So I'm sorry,
but this will go. So I'll go back to, as coaches and hitting more, drilling, live balling with our again. Go back to the green ball, okay? Because as the coach, then, okay, we are able to hit our ball like we need to hit our ball, but on the receiving side, they're able to handle it a little bit better. So maybe they're not getting. And again, you got to do a little bit of everything. But again, benefit of the green. Here, I'm just going to say this. I say this all the time. I know it shocks the shit out of people. Oop, I just said a bad word. Do we have a beeper? Do you have a beeper?
No, this is when people come on the show. No one's going to be offended.
It's
and if
okay.
they are,
It's all right. It wasn't that bad of a word.
No,
and
it's
understand,
not.
I don't coach full time. All right. So I have to asterisk this a little bit.
Okay.
I have not done any coaching with the yellow ball, and I don't know how many years. It could be 5.
Wow.
It could be more than 5. Like, I do
Wow.
not coach
Well, okay.
with a yellow. I know that could be a whole nother topic unto itself. And I know that's a little mind blowing.
Yeah.
And there's some asterisks there. Okay. But it can be done. And my clients are all very long-term clients. And even my new one, it doesn't matter. Old ones, new ones, they know why.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. And see, this is where everyone finds their niche. Everyone dials in for their clientele.
Right.
I know for sure that I would be thought to be insane because people couldn't hear the music if I introduced green ball to certain players. They would be insulted.
Sure.
They would be insulted.
Yep.
One time I had a high school team I was coaching, and all the kids were pretty well ranked juniors. And I mean, it was just a phenomenal team I had. So I got the orange balls out for about a 10 to 15 minute period for them to hit with. And I made them play matches with them. Right. And they bristled, this is stupid, right? Teenagers, they're lovely people. Yeah. Really they are. So they bristled. There was pushback. There was dissent, right? Okay. And I made them do it anyway. So then they played for 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm like, all right, guys, what did you discover? Right. And then I got this. And then finally somebody said, oh yeah, if I hit the ball short, it was really effective. I'm like, oh. Yeah. There's that. Okay. So let me flesh that out, kiddo. So you found that if you had a deep short or a short deep combo, it's very effective? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I saw you doing that. That's excellent. And I'm like, the same effect is true with a yellow ball. It's just not as pronounced. It's different, right. But there you go. But it's still there. And so then from that moment on, my kids had a tactical understanding that they never would have understood any other way. Yep. So but you have to know your clientele. You have to respond. You have to know what they're open to and respond accordingly. And to your point, Bill, many people that have been doing tennis for a long time, they will be the consumers that's a harder sell to transition them to the other balls. This is why I'm going back to saying all starter players, when you bring somebody new into, they don't know green, orange, yellow, red, purple, whatever. All right. They are the ideal market, and you start them from the beginning and they're good. There are no issues whatsoever. All right. I can still sell 80% of tennis consumers on the green ball. That's what I'm good at. Because you propagandize them. I do. And I'm killing you on the words. You are. I told you were going to win this competition, for goodness sakes. I'm saying swear words, okay? And you're doing big vocabulary. Yeah. So those are really great points. So again, I'm a little redundant, but I want to say when we're open for business for tennis going forward, coaches should take a very big consideration on incorporating those balls with their adult clientele. The other thing I'm going to add to that, Bill, and I say this with no disrespect, and I'm speaking to our tennis consumers. Not the coaches. Okay. I'm talking tennis consumers. Okay. Everybody needs to get over their egos. Okay? Everybody does. Well, yeah. And I'm speaking tennis consumers right now. Okay. But if you think about it, okay, I'm not playing with the green ball. I'm too good. No, nobody's too good. I'll get 16 pros in Sarasota playing with orange ball, and it is the most high, intense, energetic, and they're pros. All right. Yes. So all the conflicts that people have in league tennis, right? Okay. Everybody just get over their egos. All right. We have the most amazing sport in the world. Yes.
It is the greatest fitness activity. It is incredible for the brain. It's incredible for our mental capacity. Go out and have fun.
Yeah. Okay, I want to get clinical for a second because I was a psych major and I know just enough psychology to be dangerous. So, all right, now, one of my pet peeves is people who use the word ego. So, okay, but no, I just want to make a little clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, ego simply means your self-concept, who you think you are. So I would modify that and just say, making themselves out to be more important than they are, or to be better than they are, or not open to trying new things because of their self-concept. So it's a really interesting thing. So part of the way that I get people to go outside of what they would normally do is with humor. You know, and other times I do it by creating a very safe environment. Probably the number one comment that I get from people who've stepped on the court for the first time with me is that I help them relax. Because they came on the court and they were freaking out.
Yep. Most people are.
Right?
Right.
And, you know, they're going to a strange place to meet a strange guy, and he's weird, and you know it's hard. It's a hard thing. So my first job is to help them, reassure them that I'm not as dangerous as I look. You know, just because I have these doesn't mean I bite. You know, and
that they're in a safe place with you.
They're in a safe place, and we're going to have fun. And I'm looking forward to getting to know them. And, you know, that I want to know what their goals are so I can help them achieve their goals. And it's about them. So absolutely, it's not about us. It's about them. All right. So let's go on to a new topic.
Okay.
What do you
got? I was going to say, what do you got?
What do you got?
What do I got?
It's not about me. It's about you.
It's not me. It's not you. Well, you've been kind of stuck at home.
More or less.
Yeah. California's been.
I probably shouldn't discuss my travels with anyone.
No. Okay. So I kind of like this question for fun.
Okay.
Have you broken any stay-at-home rules?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, what are they?
Well, they're different in all parts of the country, right? So I'll give you an example. Okay. So first of all, I live in Florida, and we're very bad at social distancing.
Yeah.
And I live in a community, a lot of Florida's gated communities, and we have 2 pool areas, right? And one pool area has a small little fitness in it. So when we were told to stay at home, the community said, you can't use the pools. Well, okay, that usually that wouldn't impact me or my husband all that much, but because we can't go to a gym or can't go to a tennis court, he likes to swim. And I injured my knee 3 weeks ago. And so I needed to get on a stationary bike for rehab. Well, guess what? There's a stationary bike in the little gym. Mm-hmm. So we didn't quite follow those rules. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Okay. So, but there's more to the story because.
Okay.
So
I'm with you.
We were on the down low. Although swimming's not really on the down low, because if somebody goes by, they're going to see that.
It's the splashing.
And, you know, he's swimming his laps. And then a couple, maybe 4 or 5 days later, the community emailed everybody and said, well, there's some people that are not following the rules.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And I'm sure it was more than me. And
right.
And so they said, okay, so now we're going to turn off the key fob entrance, meaning they were going to disengage it. Well, we went and checked it out, and it wasn't disengaged. I'll just leave it at that.
It was a ruse.
It was a ruse.
Yeah, I mean, I posted something today that there's this thing that there's this written permission slip that's already been granted.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Bill of Rights.
Okay, tell us.
So people are eating that one up. You know, we have this signed written permission slip that was handed out, and
like meaning
people fought and died for it. So
okay.
So here's the funny thing. Okay, so we in my county was the first county in the United States to have a stay-at-home order. We're going on week 6. Okay.
Bless your heart.
So as soon as that order came about, I decided that my family unit would get in a smaller version of our home that has wheels on it.
Okay. Yep.
We transported our new smaller home with wheels to the beach.
Okay.
Where we then stayed incredibly far away from any other human being.
Right. Yep.
You know, and so this is, to me, this is that conundrum of permission and forgiveness.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness. And you know what? Seriously, if it came down to it, I wouldn't mind being arrested for exercising my right to be out there doing that. And now to the people though out there who have this overarching, overreaching sort of authoritarian thought that everyone must stay home because that's how we beat this thing. I don't think that's true. I think that it's absolutely true that many subsections of our society, our demographics, need to be home for their safety. Absolutely. You know, I mean, anyone using good judgment so anyway, so this has gone.
But good judgment is the key words that you said right there. Okay. It's balance. It's balance and good judgment. Yeah.
Not putting yourself and others at risk.
Right.
I'm totally averse. And I've been telling people for a long time, here's your quarterly handshake. I mean, I shake hands with my clients once every 3 months.
Yeah. Okay. Is that's it? Once every 3 months? That's it?
3 months. And I tell them, there's your quarterly handshake. And then I make sure I go wash my hands because otherwise, because, you know, I don't want to get sick. So
no, I'm a big hugger. I really miss hugging. I hug everybody. I hug everybody, and I don't like not hugging people. So.
Okay, that's nice. Let's move on to another topic that's tennis related for our new commissioner.
Okay, commissioner.
Yes.
So we addressed this slightly, and again, I proclaimed that. It might be more beneficial if we just had one teaching organization. And stating that, just fully understanding history and logistics and all that kind of thing. And it was
the feud of South Africa.
Yeah, it's all fine. And we love both the organizations, and they both have a lot of strengths. But it does come to there's resources, right? And when there's two, resources are spread more thinly. So I don't know how you feel about that, Bill. And I know it's been tried, and it might never happen, and that's okay too. It's just
there was a time in the 90s when that was starting to come up. Now, my personal history is I started with PTR. And then I went to go get a club job, and I was told that I had to become a USPTA member in order to have that job. So I took that test, and then because I couldn't afford both, then I dropped PTR. Okay. And then for a long time, somewhere in the 90s, it came up really seriously and was being looked at very closely about a possible merger. And I was all on board with that. I think here, one of the issues is that one of the organizations believes the other one has too low a barrier to entry. And so they don't want to be seen with those people. and then another organization, and then I do believe one of the organizations isn't so fond of how the other one treats people, and their pursuit of being above it all. And I'm trying not to use the word that they use. So I mean, I found in my experience that one organization was incredibly friendly and welcoming, and the other one had a higher opinion of itself than maybe it should.
Okay. All right. So that's a personal experience.
That's my personal experience. I've had numerous people agree with my assessment.
Okay.
On that.
I would like to think that all those observations you made, that hopefully we've moved. There's been movement away from that. I do, you know, okay. So I think there's been growth. I think there's growth.
Okay.
All around. I think both organizations, like I said, have tremendous strengths, which are different. They have different strengths, which again would make coming together a good thing.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes back to the ATP WTA thing, right? Because here's
let me throw a scenario at you. Okay.
Sure.
And this is a true story. I know this story. Okay. So an organization has a 25-year member. Okay. Mm-hmm. The 25-year member does not pay his dues. Okay. The organization sends an email saying, you know, your dues are overdue, pay by this date. Okay. Right. The person emails back to say, can I talk to someone? Right. Okay. Also puts out feelers that they'd like to give leadership feedback about why they're not renewing. Okay. More emails come, not signed by a person, signed by staff. So the email says staff. Okay. Membership department. Okay. Right. So not personal. So not personal, very impersonal. So then that 25-year member just didn't pay their dues and is now no longer a member. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I mean, that lack of personal engagement is a major part of the problem that some organizations are having. I mean, it seems like they are unwilling or incapable of picking up the phone and saying, oh, hey, 25-year member, we noticed that you haven't paid your dues and that your membership has lapsed. Is everything okay? Are you okay? Yeah. Right? Well, are you okay? Is there something wrong? Can we, you know, what is it that we can do? Can we help you out some way? Right. Right? Oh, you're disenchanted with our organization? Tell us. Let's have an exit interview so that we can understand where we've gone wrong. So, I mean, those are best practices for really taking care of people really well. Well, it's unfortunate that scenario did happen, and I would like to think that maybe that was just something that fell through the cracks. Shouldn't happen, and hopefully a better job is being done in that particular situation. I have to say personally, for me, responses from anybody at any level at both of our organizations with me personally have always been wonderful. So, again, I'm hoping that was a one, but here's the thing, we can all get better, right? I mean, I think I try to get, I think we try to get better every day, little things. I mean, I know that, I want to be better every day. I kind of want to
talk about our current stay at home and our new, when we reopen, our colleagues are like all industries have really been suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, our friends and our colleagues are struggling to pay rent, keep the power on, get the groceries. So when we're back in business, a lot of our friends and colleagues might not be able to afford their dues. Right.
Well,
and many of us pay both. And the USTA is, shout out, they're stepping up. They're trying to provide, financial stimulus to various levels of the tennis industry, which is, great and amazing. And it sounds like that's one of the areas that they'll be helping with. Because if they didn't, I think would be very tough for our organizations.
So like you were saying, I mean, some people don't change until they're forced to. So hopefully this is exactly the thing that causes people to stop and say, okay, we have to take better care of our people.
Right. So maybe coming together as one, in both bringing all the very unique strengths that they both have. Mm-hmm. Maybe the time is right, just like the timing of the WTA and the ATP. Who knows, right, Bill?
It's possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything's possible. So, one thing I would like to see from leadership, I would like to see leadership's faces. So
what do you mean? Like be more specific.
I want to see their face.
Okay. like on Zoom?
Yeah, or in a video message or whatnot. So here's an interesting thing that happened the other day. And this is not meant as a criticism, except that I think things could be done slightly better. All right. So USTA sent out an email, and at the behest of Michael Dow's, right? And then when you see the email, it's got a bunch of text and it's got a tiny little click here, right?
Okay.
So I clicked there, and my experience from sending emails is about 50% of people open the email to begin with.
Correct.
And then you get a click-through rate somewhere around 10%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So I clicked through, and then here's this incredible message by Michael Dow's.
Right.
Whose face I could see. Yep. And whose message was strong. Yep. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why isn't that video in the email? They could, right? Or at least an image that says, here's a video, because I mean, so that's, to me, is like, come on, we have to think better. We have to problem solve. We have to understand that probably around 10% of the people got the message. Right. And closer to 50% would have gotten it had it been presented a little bit better. So now, one thing I've noticed, unfortunately, is many of the other leaders are strangely silent and or not visible. So that having visibility, because there were certain people who stepped way up, and I hate to toot my own horn, but at the moment I heard the word pandemic, at that moment I went, okay, let's marshal some resources and do some brainstorming and get people together and have some FaceTime with people, right? So we can help people problem solve how they're going to get through this time.
Visibility is good. I do think, well, I know because I see it. We definitely have some leaders that are getting out there via video, whether it's in an email. There are definitely a few that are quite good at it. But to your point, it would be nice to see more faces, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right. So is there anything more we need to discuss? Because it's feeling.
I know.
the time we need to wrap up.
Yes, it is. So no, I think
Home.
we've had some good bullet points. I'm going to deem you the winner of our vocabulary competition.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You kind of rolled over on that one.
I did. I was bad. But hey, I swore. So do I get a point for that?
It wasn't fair because I sprung it on you. I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So bring it home. Let's go. What are the top 2 or 3 or more takeaways from this talk?
More unity within the industry, more coming together and visualization from a coach's perspective, being more embracing and utilizing technology and.
Okay, wait. So go
too many. Sorry.
Yeah, let's go a little slower. All right.
Okay.
So now I want to comment on that first one. So take a self-inventory. Anybody who's watching this, take a self-inventory and ask yourself, am I being a unifier or a divider at this time? Just, and then as you're living these next few weeks, go, okay, was that action positive and proactive and bringing people together, or was it critical and negative unnecessarily and driving people apart? All right, number 2.
More visibility from our leadership, and I think they're getting there. With a continued better use of technology, from our coaches, going into reopening. Is it 3?
Number 3, got it.
Embracing technology at our tennis clubs and facilities, and embracing the use of red, orange, and green with our adult players, especially starter players.
Yes, and there's been some interesting ideas about how to reassure people about disease transmission. Mm-hmm. And so one idea that I really liked was open 2 cans of balls of different numbers, and one server will use these number balls, the other server will use the other ones. Then somebody said, well, what about doubles? And I'm like, open up 3 cans of balls and mark them, and you'll have a 9th ball in case one goes over the fence.
What if you did a can of yellow and a can of green and a can of orange? Shocking. Okay. Yeah. Why is that good? Because you've got element of surprise. You're dealing with emergency situations. You don't know what you're going to get. That all makes a better tennis player. The other thing with the colored balls, they stay in play longer. So guess what? You're not touching them as much.
There you go. Okay. Number 4. Do you have a 4th point?
Probably. I don't know. We've talked so much, Bill. Yes, my 4th point is come back strong, come back as an entertainer, come back with energy, do more live ball coaching.
Let people know you missed them.
Yes, and hopefully we can hug each other sooner than later.
Rally in the first 10 minutes.
10 minutes, period.
All right, Michelle, it was a pleasure.
It was great. So much fun.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Bill. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.